I'm here with Elon Musk, the founder of PayPal and space entrepreneur, electric car entrepreneur, and solar power entrepreneur. Thanks for joining us, Elon. And just a few questions. Earlier this year, you made history with having the first private spacecraft, SpaceX's Dragon, to dock with the ISS. You must be feeling pretty confident now.
I feel reasonably good about things, but I don't want to be complacent. We definitely want to keep the pace of the technology progression as rapid as possible. So we want to do lots of launches, which are kind of our bread and butter, and then keep pushing the envelope in parallel on new technology.
Okay, and have you identified the causes of the anomalies from the October cargo flight? There was a little bit of issues with the rocket and what have you.
Just a scratch. Just a flash wound.
So it won't have any impact on the human-rated Dragon sort of development?
No. We actually file flight plans. When we file a flight plan, we file a flight plan with 0, 1, and 2 engines out.
Okay.
So it wasn't even considered from the Air Force and FAA standpoint. It wasn't actually considered an anomaly because it was one of the prescribed flight plans.
Okay. And beyond the Falcon 9, you've got the Falcon Heavy rocket waiting in
it was considered an anomaly, but not a failure. Sorry, I was meant to say.
Okay, so you have the beyond the Falcon 9, you've got the Falcon Heavy sort of rocket
yes.
In development or waiting in the wings. What's that all about? And is there really a market for it? Because satellites seem to be getting kind of a lot smaller these days. So,
well, I think they're getting smaller and bigger. So on the small side, you got companies like Sorry, which I used to be an investor in until it was acquired, I certainly admire what they're doing in small satellites. And then on the big side, you've got the big geosynchronous satellites, where particularly for places that have a limited number of geostationary spots, they actually want the satellite to be as big as possible. So I think you've got this bifurcation going to both big and to small, but probably with fewer medium.
Okay. And also with the human-rated systems in the ISS, obviously NASA, after the retirement of the space shuttle, NASA is very keen to get a US sort of system there, funding a lot of you and your competitors. So there could be a case of going from no US systems to several in the next few years. Yourselves.
Yeah, I think that would be great. That'd be really great.
Do you think there's room enough for all of them?
I think as long as we're making revolutionary improvements in space transport, I think there is room for a lot of companies. But we really need to get to rapidly and completely reusable rockets. Just as is the case with aircraft. I mean, aircraft are rapidly and completely reusable. They have a maintenance cycle and everything, but basically you put fuel in and fly it again, and you can land a 747 and take off an hour and a half later, and you should be able to do that with rockets too.
Okay.
And if you do that, then the cost would come down so dramatically that I think we could find many uses for rockets.
Okay. And can you give us an update on the Air Launch Stratolaunch system that was announced last year? You're partnering there. You're going to be doing the rocket launch bit. What's that all about, and where does it kind of fit into your sort of family of rockets launches?
Well, that's definitely not one of our main initiatives. And I think there's likely to be some changes in that program, but nothing I could comment on myself.
Okay.
Right.
And you've also dropped hints of a more powerful rocket engine under development, Raptor or MCT. People seem to be talking about. What does MCT stand for? And is that right?
Yeah. Every now and again, I sort of just throw something out just for fun. I can confirm that the name of the engine is Raptor.
Okay.
And I'd like to announce maybe some details about the engine next year.
Okay.
Perhaps what's even more interesting is the spaceship that's attached to.
Okay. And does the M in MCT stand for anything to do with Mars or Martian or? Okay.
To leave a little, you show a little leg, not all of it.
Okay. You've also got a vertical landing system, the Grasshopper, in development. How does that fit into the sort of family of that? That's the reusability of rockets.
Right. So the Grasshopper is kind of a test rig, and it's intended to help us develop vertical landing capability. Obviously, the rockets can certainly take off vertically. Now we need to make them land. And so Grasshopper has very robust landing legs. It's designed to be able to take very phenomenal landings. It's got a Falcon 9 version 1 stage, and combined with the Merlin 1D engine that would go on the next generation Falcon 9. So it's sort of a hybrid vehicle of past and future technologies. We'll use it to sort of figure out a bunch of things, and then next year we'll upgrade to the actual flight design of Falcon 9, the next generation Falcon 9.
Okay. So is the idea to then recover the top stage or the whole thing or?
Yeah, long term our goal is to recover the entire rocket and be able to relaunch the whole thing quickly.
Okay. This year also we've also seen planetary resources launched. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think asteroid mining is viable? Are they ringing up wanting to know prices on deep space launch prices?
Our rockets are standing by. I think there's potentially some market for mining asteroids as a kind of a refueling station on the way to Mars and other places. I don't see. I'm not convinced that there's a case for taking, say, platinum or something that's found in an asteroid and bringing that back to Earth.
And have you seen the UK sort of Skylon spaceplane project? What's your take on that as an air breathing?
Don't know it well enough. In the past, whenever I've done the basic math on having an air breathing stage, it doesn't seem to make sense. But I could be wrong about that, and always look to sort of figure out how I can better understand things. But I think it's maybe easier just to increase the size of the boost stage than to add any air breathing stage.
Okay. And you've obviously famously said you want to retire on Mars, which fantastic ambition. Is this something that you've got a team at sort of SpaceX actively working on? Are they kind of looking at spaceships and HABs and what have you? Designing the Musk retirement home?
Right. Well, there's no real work going on right now in terms of designing Mars habitats. I think we need to focus our energies on designing the Mars spaceship first. And then that would effectively be the first habitat.
Okay. And how far away do you sort of see a manned Mars mission? And who do you think will be going there? Do you think it'll be the US or China or international or commercial mission?
Well, I'm hopeful that from a SpaceX standpoint, we'll be ready to do such a mission in the 10 to 15 year time frame.
Wow.
So we'll see if that occurs, and obviously that would be an American. It may or may not be a government, or there may be some government involvement, or none. I don't know quite yet, but I think SpaceX will be ready in approximately that time frame.
Okay. Well, you've had an exciting year, obviously, this year. So what can we look forward to in 2013 in terms of sort of SpaceX news and accomplishments?
In 2013, I'm hopeful we'll be able to demonstrate high-altitude supersonic liftoff and return. So it's being able to have the stage take off, go supersonic, and then come back and land propulsively at the launch site.
Okay.
Then I'm hopeful we'll also demonstrate the Falcon Heavy towards the end of next year. That'll be the most powerful vehicle in the world by a factor of 2, and more than a factor of 2 actually. So 2013 should be an exciting year.
Okay. How many people now work at sort of SpaceX, and what are kind of like the recruitment plans now? I get a lot of sort of feedback from we were saying, how do we get a job there?
Well, it's quite difficult for us to employ people that don't have a green card because of US ITAR rules.
Yeah.
So my first advice would be do anything you can to get a green card. We have been successful in a few cases with getting permission from the U.S. State Department, Defense Department to employ non-U.S. citizens, but it's very difficult to do that, unfortunately. I wish it were easier.
Okay. And where do you get your passion for space from in the first place? Where did it kind of start that sort of inkling of you wanted to be in this field?
Well, I was always a big fan of science fiction movies and books, and I always thought that we were on our way to becoming a spacefaring civilization, just to be like the stories that one would read about. And then I was disappointed to learn that it didn't seem to be happening, and that's why I got into. That's why I started SpaceX, is to sort of make that a reality and not just be forever a fiction.
Okay. And what do you attribute to the success of SpaceX so far? I mean, the last time you were here, you'd just done the launch, and that had gone well. And I think a lot of you kind of surprised and were pleasantly surprised. A lot of people said, "Wow, this is someone who's come on the scene and done it right first time," and we're quite sort of shocked in a way. What do you put down to that sort of the success there?
Well, we're very, very determined to succeed, and fortunately, we had just enough money to make it to the fourth launch, which was the one that worked. Thank goodness. Yeah. I think we had a critical mass of technical talent, and just enough money, and a design that was sensible, and those were probably the three ingredients that resulted in success eventually.
Okay. And you've always got a number of different enterprises going on at the same time, such as Telsa and the solar power. So how do you split your time and kind of juggle between them? How do you divide your time and sort of attention?
Well, I split my time approximately evenly between the two companies, although depending upon which company needs me the most, I might allocate a bit more time to that company at times. So right now I put a majority of my time on Tesla, but earlier this year was a majority of my time on SpaceX.
Okay. And if you were, obviously, you're in the commercial sector, but there's sort of a NASA kind of beavering away there. If you were the head of NASA, what would be your priorities? What sort of changes would you make, and how would you sort of steer space policy, for example?
Well, I think NASA is actually doing a pretty good job overall. They've been very pro-commercial space, and I really have nothing but good things to say about what NASA is doing.
Okay. And another thing that's sort of been mentioned as well as sort of Mars is something called Hyperloop, which
right.
I don't know is it aerospace, or is it a train system, or?
It's funny. It's a sort of a combination of electric and aerospace.
Okay.
It's. I'd like to publish something before the end of the year, hopefully, but I want to make sure I vet it with a few people within SpaceX and Tesla, and maybe a few outside people. And then just sort of put it out there as sort of, this is something that I think would be sensible, and then ask people to add to it and modify it, and maybe people have some, I'm sure people have good ideas about making it better, and then try to come up with some sort of standard design that anyone can implement in the world. I think that would be kind of cool. Sort of like an open source operating system, like an open source transport system. That would be really, really neat.
Okay.
But the basic thought behind it is to have something like that's a cross between a railgun and a Concorde.
Wow.
Yeah. Now some people, I sort of like saying that because some people are going to be scared about that, and some people are like, yes, that's awesome. I'm appealing to the second group.
And that would be using like kind of a maglev possibly in a vacuum too?
Nice try.
Okay, well, we're almost there. Final question then. You said you're a big science fiction fan.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask you, what's your favourite fictional spacecraft?
Ooh, fictional spacecraft. Well, I'd have to say that would be the one in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that's powered by the improbability drive.
Fantastic.
I mean, that thing's awesome. Just the most unexpected things.
Right, so that's the scoop and half.
Right.
The MCT will be powered by the infinite improbability drive.
Right, exactly.
Brilliant. It's been fantastic talking to you.
You're welcome.
And very much looking forward to hear your lecture later.
All right,
Thank
sounds
you.
good. Thank you.